My kitty. My kitty says hello. Hello, Miss Guy. Alright, hey guys. So today I'm going to be doing a little story time with me. Just going over my experience with both braces and Invisalign. I have had braces twice and now I'm almost done with my Invisalign. I'm actually getting my retainers off this coming week, and I figured I would sit down and film the video with you guys now while I still have them rather than after. So before, when this video airs, I think I am gonna have a clip at the end with, you know, the final results, and then my final thoughts, any like retainer that I get that's, you know, at the end. So there will be me in the future at the end of this video just kind of showing you the final results, but I figure I would just kind of go over it while I still have them so you guys can get an idea of everything that's going on. Alright, so when I was younger, I had braces for about 2.5 years. Around that time, middle school, I think I was between like 11 and 13 when I had them. I had them for, yeah, around 2.5 years. So yeah, between 11 and I maybe got them off when shortly before I turned 14, because I got them off in my right just before I started high school. So I had them all throughout middle school, so I think 6th through 8th grade. So yeah, so I got them all. So I started them, no, I think I may have started them when I was 11. Yeah, 11. I was 11 and maybe just turned 11 through 13. I can't do math right now. But anyway, so to start off, I did not have the best, did not go to the best dental place when I was younger. I don't think it was a dental school, but it was like a, like not even, I don't even think it was like a county dentist, because there are county dentists, but it was like a dentist that had, like a dentist office that had a bunch of different dentists, and there was always a really long wait. So I don't know, it wasn't, I don't think it was a dental school, and I don't think it was a county dentist, but it was not a very good dentist. It wasn't like, you know, when you go to one dentist, there's one dentist, or like maybe two if they own a practice together. But no, it was like a sort of city type of dentist that had a bunch of dentists. They were not, I also went to them for dental work. They also had orthodontia. They were not very good. I remember being a kid and being deathly afraid of needles, and they'd be like, oh, well, you know, we could, you know, do your we could do your filling without the Novocaine, but you wouldn't like that. Like, that was their bedside manner for children. And it was called South Bay Dental. It is no longer. I think it's called like Western Dental now. I'm not sure if it's the same place or if they got bought out, but as far as I can remember, the last I know, it's called Western Dental now. And I did look up Western Dental. They are a chain, and for the most part, they do not have very good reviews. So maybe it's the same place with then they rebranded. I don't know. But they were not a very good dentist. I did have the braces 2.5 years. I had at first the metal braces, and then the second part of the time I had these like clear brackets that match the color of your tooth, that are like pretty common now, but a lot of people still do the metal braces. I had the ceramic brackets for the second part of the time and all that stuff. So, you know, I got my braces off after 2.5 years. I had a retainer. I was told to wear the retainer all day for the first year, and then the second year only at night, and that was it. And anyway, so yeah, you know, and I think this goes for a lot of people. We're only told to wear retainers for the 2 years, and you know, I wore it for however long they told me. And then later on, I found out that apparently it's like a lifelong thing. You're supposed to wear them forever. But between then and now, I've had so much dental work done. I do not have the best genetics as far as teeth, and I've had so much dental work done that my retainer would not even fit. Both the first time and the second time. So my dad would always give me kind of crap like, oh, you never wore your retainer. I wore my retainer for as long as they told me, you know. I was never really told that it was like a forever thing. And I don't know, leave me a comment down below. What was your experience like if you had braces or Invisalign? Did they tell you to wear your retainer like for life? Like, let me know, because I feel like a lot of people weren't told that. My husband also had braces when he was younger, and like me, which I'll kind of get into, my wisdom teeth did not come out until I was about 20, 21. And they were severely impacted, and I think it was one of the biggest reasons why my teeth were so messed up again, that necessitated braces again, only just 9 years later. My teeth were so messed up that I had to basically do another 2.5 years of braces. I really did want to look into doing Invisalign the second time, but unfortunately my bite was so messed up, so I was not a candidate for Invisalign, which is a total bummer. And I did not have insurance at that time, and it was like $6,500. It was so expensive, and I had so much recession on my teeth from my teeth being misaligned. A lot of recession. And by this point in time, I had my wisdom teeth out. I think I got braces about 2 years. About 2 years after I had my wisdom teeth out. Yeah, so just 9 years later, my teeth needed that whole 2.5 years older, whole 2.5 years redone, basically, because my dentist was like, I think I was having a lot of bite issues and a lot of problems with my teeth, like cracking and needing dental work. And I think that's when they suggested, have you thought about doing braces? And I'm like, it's funny, I had braces when I was a kid, but my teeth got all messed up, my bite was messed up, and so it was like a medical necessity because I was having issues with my teeth as a result of them being misaligned, having my bite misaligned. So I began the journey of having braces again in my early 20s. A lot of people, and I think this goes for most people, if you do need your wisdom teeth out, which generally is done and should be done around the time you either have the braces or shortly after you have your braces removed. Some good friends of mine, when they had braces, they had their wisdom teeth out right away. But for me, it was like 10, 11 years later. I had 2010. No, so I had my wisdom teeth out 7 years later. So in that short amount of time, my teeth got really messed up again as far as my teeth being super impacted. So I ended up getting them removed. So in 2012, I had braces again for another 2 years. I actually had them removed a little bit early due to a forced relocation. For about a year, I would drive back from Sacramento to the Bay Area to have my teeth serviced, have my teeth adjusted. It was once a month, and after a year, initially it was okay because I didn't have a job for 3 months. My husband was working really part-time, but as I got into, I started working two different jobs, and then later when one job ended, I ended up going more full-time in the other job, and it was just becoming like I'd have to take an entire day off work every single month to go to the Bay Area to have my teeth adjusted because they didn't have any weekend appointments. So it was getting really hard, and I ended up having my braces off just a little bit early, and there was other reasons for that too. This is William. It may be a different name now. I think it's William Yao DDS now in orthodontics. It used to be, I think, him and another guy, but I think he had actually sadly passed away, so it just became his own practice. And I just felt actually honestly bullied by the billing person, because at the time we were having a lot of financial struggles, and I just kind of felt like I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And that's one of the reasons I had my braces off early too, because I was kind of bullied into it. And then they also, I was still paying the same amount of money for having my braces off early, even though the work was not completed. So in hindsight, I probably should have stuck with it because I probably only needed a few more months, maybe 6 months more, 3 to 6 months, because I did have my braces off a little bit early, but I just kind of felt bullied and pressured kind of into it. Well, just for the time reason, and also the billing person, she was just not very nice. So I had the braces off, and so I got a retainer and stuff, and between 2014 and now 2021, I've had a lot more. I've had some crowns done, I've had some root canals, I did have a retainer, but it no longer fit because I had so much work done in between those years. Thankfully, the last 3 or so years have been okay. Like, I don't think I've had any cavities or have needed any root canals. I came really close because I had an injury in one of my front teeth, and I thought I may have needed a root canal. But on your front teeth, they don't generally put a crown on your front teeth, but they do like on your back teeth. So they recommended continuing my orthodontia here in the Sacramento area once I left that practice, but it had been about 7 years. So I got my retainer and everything, but it had been about 7 years for a multitude of reasons, finances being a big one. It wasn't until recently that my husband actually, despite not having the best medical, he has really good dental insurance, and they cover up to $2,000 per person for either braces or Invisalign. However, with my company, think 2 of the plans only cover orthodontia up to age of 26, and I think the other one only covered braces. They did not cover Invisalign, so we ended up going through my husband's insurance, and we got Invisalign actually at the same time a few months earlier. So I have been wearing my Invisalign retainers for the last almost 14 weeks now. So I have what's called the Invisalign Light package, just because I had just some minor corrections. I'll show you, I had a tooth right here that was kind of, as a result of when I had braces, a bracket came off, and I wasn't able to get into the office right away due to being so far away. I wasn't able to get into the office. So as a result of that bracket coming off, the tooth kind of became misaligned, and these 2 front teeth, like one was kind of protruding out a bit. So it was just like, for me, it was more aesthetic. My bite was okay this time. I was thankfully a candidate for Invisalign this time because I had done braces twice before. So I was a candidate this time. I was not a candidate the first time. I remember when I went in for my consultation back in November, both my husband and I were getting consultations for the Invisalign package, and we both decided to do it at the same time because we got a family discount for doing it together, and then a pay in full discount, and then his insurance covered like $4,000. Since he hasn't had braces since he was a kid, his teeth are a little bit more kind of messed up like mine were when I got my braces the second time. So this is his second time with getting orthodontia, but he was a candidate for Invisalign, and I know that was his preference for Invisalign, because he doesn't have any bite issues. He does have a lot of crooked teeth, but it's more aesthetic. So I'll just say it now. When you go in for it, if you're considering orthodontia, just be mindful that not everyone is a candidate for Invisalign. And we were actually considering Smile Direct Club, Bite. There was another one, but they basically they're like the male. You can do impressions for your Invisalign at one of their select offices. They have one near you, or they send you like a kit to use to do your impressions, and then they, depending on the company, either have a licensed dentist, or I'm forgetting the name of the other one that we were looking at. They actually there was one that actually had an actual orthodontist, which is, I feel like, really important. You want an actual orthodontist overseeing the work because they do have that more experience, the more training, they have that more skill, more than just like, having a traditional dentist see your orthodontia. Um, and for me, we did kind of do price comparisons. We went to our local dentist and with our insurance, price compared what we'd be paying for Invisalign versus like Smile Direct Club or Bite, or etc. And for me, the out of pocket cost was about the same. Going through my dentist after insurance, it was about $2,100, and with like Smile Direct Club or Bite, I think they have set prices, so I think it's between like 22,000 and 2,500. So they, depending on the severity, so with those companies, it doesn't depend on the severity of the case. So you can have really messed up teeth, you can have maybe just a few minor things, they still charge one flat price. And so my husband was considering them because it was cheaper, because after insurance he was paying 2,500. So yeah, so his consultation, so the cost of his Invisalign was quoted at 3,500. It was about 1,000 more expensive than if we were to do like Smile Direct Club or Bite or whatever. But and this was my opinion, we spent a lot of time reading reviews of these companies that did like their own basic brand of Invisalign, because they're basically like the same thing but with like their own brands. And a lot of people were saying, that they had overall positive reviews. I know with Invisalign, having someone oversee that is strongly preferred, especially, and I would recommend this if you have a more severe case, meaning like you have like, your teeth are really messed up or whatever, and it's going to take time to have that corrected. I would recommend just going to a dentist, just because you want to make sure it's done correctly, because there have been, I think, like lawsuits and complaints against like Smile Direct Club. I've heard that their customer service isn't always the best. In some extreme cases, people's teeth falling out. So I'm like, if you have a case like that, like, so my husband has to wear his Invisalign for a year and a half. So yeah, so he has to wear his for a year and a half. And with Smile Direct Club and Bite, they're like, oh, you can be done in 6 months. And so it's like you kind of have to wonder, like, is it going to be like 100%? And for me, having come from the point of view of not having my work finished when I last had braces, I'm like, you may as well just get it out of the way, make sure it's done correctly at the first time. What's an extra $1,000, and especially since the insurance does cover a good chunk, a lot of people's insurances don't. And I understand that's, a reason for a lot of people going to more of these online companies to do like Invisalign. But when they do have someone that does, when you do your impressions and imaging, depending on whether or not you do that at home or if you go to one of their locations, they should, if you are working with a reputable person, they should tell you whether or not you're a candidate for these like Invisalign equivalents, because as I said, not everyone's a candidate. I wasn't the first time around, so you want to make sure that this is going to be the right fit for you, so to speak, because as I said, if you have bite issues, the retainer system probably won't work for you. You will need to actually go to an orthodontist. Okay, so the other company I was thinking of was Candid. That was the company that we were considering. Bite is a smaller company, but Candid is a really close competitor of Smile Direct Club, but they had far better reviews. With them, you're actually guaranteed to be overseen by an actual orthodontist and not just the dentist. With Smile Direct Club, I believe it's just the dentist that oversees the work. So yeah, so as I said, what I would do is go to your dentist and at least get a quote to, or at least, have a what do you call it? Consultation. So at least have a consultation, see, whether or not Invisalign is right for you. Because if it isn't, then odds are Smile Direct Club, Candid, Bite, they're not going to be compatible for fixing your teeth the way you want to have them fixed. So that, and also seeing whether or not price wise with your insurance, whether or not you have insurance, if going through these other companies is a better route. Because if you do have decent insurance, you may as well just go through your local orthodontist. And I actually did convince my husband, since he does have to do his Invisalign for a year and a half, he has a more of a severe case, that it would be a better idea to make sure that he is being overseen by a trusted professional, to make sure it's being done right the first time. So that's my recommendation to anyone who has a more severe case, just to get a consultation before you decide to either go that route to get Invisalign there, or braces, or before doing Smile Direct Club, Bite, etc. Because you may not know what's right for you. But as I said, since I already had braces twice before, I only had to do it for 14 weeks. So some pros and cons of braces and Invisalign. As I said, doing braces is better if you need bite correction, whether you have an overbite or underbite. I think I had an underbite for a while. So you want to make sure that that's corrected. But yeah, and also Invisalign tends to be a faster process because you are changing out your retainers weekly. So I had 14 retainers for 14 weeks. They look like this, and this is what they look like on the teeth. They have these little brackets that kind of makes them adhere. So I'll take them off. So their retainer is off. So they have basically like these porcelain brackets that kind of like smaller than your normal braces brackets. They're much smaller, but to make your retainer like fit on so your teeth will shift as they're supposed to. Okay. All right. So yeah, so your teeth should be shifting, so it's weekly. Whereas I guess now, so before, when I had braces the second time, the late 2010s, I had to go in monthly. But now with, I guess, more advanced technology, if I were to have gone the braces route, it would have been every, I think, 8 to 10 weeks. Whereas with our Invisalign, it was about 10 weeks that we came in. So I was almost done, and then I'm going in this coming week for all the finalizing stuff. But it was after 10 weeks that we came in for our Invisalign, and I believe braces it's 8 weeks. And I'm like, well, if it was 8 weeks before, it would have not have been a big deal. Like every 2 months, I could have still kept the same dentist, finished everything off. But just to show you how far we've come in our technology in such a short amount of time. So another thing that I've learned from this process, having braces twice and Invisalign the third time, is to make sure that if you're having any sort of major work done in your teeth, that you get a new retainer. It does cost you a little bit of money, but it's worth it to make sure that you that your new bite and your teeth don't shift over time, because that's kind of what happened to me. But thankfully, in the 7 years between 2014 and 2021, my teeth did not only shifted very marginally. Most of it was just because it wasn't completed the second time. So it was very little that they had to do. So the first time the first time after I had braces, my teeth were majorly messed up within 9 years, and I attribute that to not having my wisdom teeth out in time. So that's because now, like, it's been 7 years, my teeth didn't really move. It was just me wanting to correct a couple aesthetic things. As I said, I only had to do Invisalign for 14 weeks to just kind of correct the work that wasn't completed. But yeah, as I said, it did take 7 years just because we weren't in a financial place to be able to complete the work. And so now that we are, my husband and I decided to get it done together, because I know him correcting his teeth has been something that he's been wanting to do for a really long time, because like me, he didn't have his wisdom teeth out when he was younger either. And so his teeth got really messed up as a result of that. So bottom line, make sure that you have your wisdom teeth out ASAP if you're having any sort of work done. And I think most people usually have them out around high school age, late middle school maybe. So if your teeth are impacted, make sure you get that out of the way around the time you have orthodontia or shortly after, so your teeth don't move again. So as I said, like, one of the pro of braces is that it does correct the your bite, but also you want to consider, now, if you're a parent of a small child, you may not want them to have Invisalign, because, and even for me as an adult, you have to be very proactive at making sure that once you're done eating, that you have your retainers back in right away, that you don't lose them. That's another concern. Make sure your dog, your cat doesn't get into them, because it can be a hot mess. Sometimes you can lose them. They're much more easy to lose. So when it comes to younger kids getting orthodontia, braces might be a better route to go, just because they're on there. They don't have to worry about putting them in, keeping them in, things like that. Although when they get them off, they'll have to have a permanent retainer that well, not permanent retainer, because a permanent retainer stays in. But bottom line, if you have to be very disciplined to make sure that, I think they have to be in there at least 20 hours out of the day, the Invisalign, for optimal results, to keep your retainer in 20 hours a day. So braces might be a better way to go for younger kids, just so you don't have to worry about losing the retainer, not putting it back in on time, things like that. Now for older teenagers, it might be a better idea if they're really disciplined about keeping the retainers in, just because yeah. But a downside, of course, with braces is that you have to be careful about what you eat, like peanuts, crunchy, sticky things. Things like that you can't eat. You have to be more diligent about your flossing. So there's pros and cons to it. Also, I think braces typically hurt more than Invisalign. Now, usually when I have Invisalign, when I switch out my retainers every week, there's usually a couple days where my teeth feel a little bit sore from changing it out, from moving around, but not to the same extent as if you were to go get your braces adjusted. It hurts more, especially when you first get them on. I've heard it hurts a lot. I mean, I've had them before, but it's been a while. But as far as I can remember, I think my teeth hurt more with braces. Invisalign also seems to work faster, just because, as I said, you are getting a new retainer every week versus having a braces adjustment every 10 weeks. The typical time of having, or typical duration of having braces, is generally between 2 to 2.5 years. And my husband, he's having Invisalign for 1.5 years. So Invisalign typically works a bit faster, but as I said, it's not for everybody for a variety of reasons. But as I mentioned before, whether you have kids that maybe they are not disciplined enough to have Invisalign, or a bite that's not gonna be fixed with Invisalign. Now, I was told when I had braces the second time that I could finish my work with Invisalign once the bite was corrected, and that's ultimately what I did. So thankfully, neither of us had to do braces this time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Come to the end of just kind of explaining to you guys my braces and Invisalign journey. When I had braces, I preferred the porcelain braces versus the metal braces, because they weren't as noticeable. They're kind of like the what's on there right now to kind of adhere the retainer. But there's pros and cons to this too. But overall, it's just easier to brush, floss when you can take your retainer out. you're less prone to cavities, you know, because if you have braces and you're not flossing or brushing as much as you should, you can be more prone to cavities. But yeah, so that's the way it looks, and they come in a box like this. You change it out every week around the same time. You just have to make sure you don't lose them. My husband did lose them once. But yeah, so I hope that kind of gave you guys some insight into our overall journey and our research into some of these other companies. Just make sure you price compare, that you get I would strongly recommend getting a consultation from your actual orthodontist. You know, no matter which way you go, it doesn't hurt to at least get a consultation. It's usually free or very cheap just to have the consultation, to at least get a breakdown of what you'd be paying, and like what you would need to fix your smile before going out to these other companies, because you may get your teeth to maybe 90%, but maybe they're not perfect. And I think that's a lot of the reviews that I saw, that, you know, their teeth were mostly corrected, maybe, but not like 100%. So yeah, so that's why we ended up just paying a little bit more and just kind of going through a regular dentist, because we do have insurance. But if you don't have insurance, that it's definitely a viable option, especially, you know, if you're only needing minor fixes. I would only recommend those companies if you need like minor fixes, and if you don't have any bite issues for the reasons I mentioned, just because, you know, you want to be safe, all that good stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I figured I'd come on and just kind of share with you my journey. It's been a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and then at the end I will show you my final progress without the Invisalign, my final results, what I thought. I'm supposed to, I think, go in for like x-rays and stuff like that, and my final retainer and all that. So I'll update you and let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I super appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in another video real soon. Bye. Alright guys, so here's me in the future. Just wanted to come on and say that I thought I was going to be getting my Invisalign off today, but it turns out I still need a couple more weeks. So today's visit was just getting photographs, and they have like this really cool like wand that goes around your teeth that creates like a digital instant impression. So I guess I'll be getting a few more retainers, and then I'll have to wear the same retainer for the next 4 weeks just to keep my teeth in shape while they get me some more retainers, because I have to fix just a couple of things. One is this tooth here actually used to stick out over this one right here, but what happened is this actually got pushed back a little too far. So now this one right here on my right is sticking out a little bit over this one. So the one that was sticking out before is now pushed back a little too far, so they have to kind of move that around and move some around on the bottom. So I'm probably looking at maybe another 2 months. I was kind of bummed a little bit, but it is what it is, just the 4 weeks to wait for the new retainers, because they have to make them and stuff. So it can't happen. It's kind of like having braces. Like there's not really a set end date. Like with Invisalign, maybe, you know, at the end, like I was supposed to have 14 weeks, you know, they could decide, maybe we still want to correct a couple things, you know. So anyway, I just figured I would come on and update you, because I said that I would. Fortunately, not getting them on just yet, but I may put this video up, you know, before I get them off, just because it's going to be probably another 2 months. I'm going to get this video up, and then I'm going to do a part 2 later once I have them off, and then update you guys once it's finished. So it is a little bit of a bummer, but I just want to document my progress, since it is going to take a little bit longer than initially anticipated, just so that, you know, can fix a couple of these things. But it's just like just like having braces, you know. So at the end of your Invisalign journey, you know, you may need to do it a little bit longer, But I just want to, it's okay. I just want to make sure it's done correctly because I did have my braces off a little bit early the first time, so I want to make sure that they do it right this time. So anyway, I also wanted to add, what was I going to add? Oh, I think it was cost. I wanted to talk cost. So when I initially got braces, way back when I was younger, 11 years old, Invisalign was still coming out. At that time, it was significantly more expensive. But now Invisalign and the cost of braces is pretty comparable to one another. But, whether or not that's an option for you just depends on your case. But I know at one point it used to be like a cost issue, but my cost for having braces was like $6,500 the second time, and my cost for Invisalign, I think before insurance, was like $4,000. I mean, so it's still kind of a lot, but insurance paid half of that. So anyway, and then my husband, he has to do it for a year and a half, and he was quoted, or he had to pay $5,500. So that was still cheaper than the second time I did braces when I paid $6,500. Braces does take a little bit longer, but yeah, so the price is pretty comparable. So I just wanted to add that in there, but at one point in time, Invisalign used to be pretty expensive, but it is a viable option. So explore all your options if that's what you're looking into. See if you would be a candidate. As I mentioned before, it just really depends on your bite. If you have any other issues that need to be corrected, Invisalign may not work. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in another video real soon. Bye.
If it gets too dark, I'll be